guys, I don't have time for that speculation.
Well, we've got some Mike Bianco audio, but I don't have a Mike Bianco drop, which that probably wouldn't surprise anybody because that guy's just a baseball coach. Now, we've got some Stormtrooper stuff, but, Stormtrooper helmet audio. But I don't have,
Anyone else?
No, I don't have it.
I mean, that's a joke to me.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Mike Bianco will still be coaching Ole Miss baseball when we're all dead and gone. And it's unbelievable. He punches his ticket for the third time to the promised land of Omaha, Nebraska, after going to Auburn and beating them back-to-back games at Auburn. And Butch Thompson had a good team. And they got punked on their own field, in their stadium. Didn't even need a game 3. And Ole Miss has heated up on the mound. And we talk about it for years. The bump is that's the magic. And the majority of the time, as you know, right, as we all know, that's where the game is won. And I know you get crazy series like what Mississippi State and Georgia just went through, where, you have tons of runs and home runs. But I think we all know if you take, Jackson, the overwhelming majority of games and postseason and championships, it's pitching. And Ole Miss has the front and the back end. Mississippi State never had the bullpen from day one. And in their last day of the season, in which they could have won the game, they didn't have it. And so there'll be a little bit of soul searching, but everybody's already in the portal. And, you saw guys going. The one, Mississippi State landed the Sun Belt Player of the Year during their game, I guess, or something over the weekend. And so Bianco and O'Connor and everybody else, Schlossnagle and Wes Johnson, are heavy into the portal to elevate their team and their program and their roster. But we've got these 8 teams that are marching towards the national championship in Omaha, Nebraska. So Ben is on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line, and this is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And Bo had State won yesterday. I feel like we would have had to have a miracle today. Given we used McPherson and Stone yesterday. Well, yeah, but you still want to play. You want to give it a shot. You don't ever know because your lineup was capable of hitting bombs and generating runs too. You're right. It would have been a yeoman's task, and I don't claim to know exactly what Georgia would have had going in today. It's all null and void. It doesn't matter. They won, and look, they were the better team. Yeah. Now I understand the games were close. But they played you 6 times and beat you 6 times. And in baseball, we scratch our head on why Mississippi State has dominated Ole Miss in baseball because Ole Miss has been good. And like Mississippi State went 4-0 against Ole Miss this year. Georgia went 6-0 against. I mean, the odds just tell. It's not like this is one of those years where Mississippi State's only winning 26 games. This is a year where Mississippi State won a bunch of games. But dude, Georgia's a better team. Yeah. And,
you were playing really good baseball and they still beat you 6 times this year.
That's right.
Like you were playing really good ball.
Yeah.
Especially this last, couple of games in the Super. You played their game at their stadium and you lost.
That's a good point. I don't know how you could avoid it, but that's a good point because I don't know enough. But, you're right. That is what obviously Wes Johnson and Will Coggins said. This is who we are. This is how we're going to construct this roster. Like they went. I think a lot of times coaches go in and try to fill everything and do. I don't know what advanced metrics they're using. I don't know what the conversations are like between Wes Johnson and Will Coggin. It's obvious they had a very tip of the spear, super specific, specialized, focused way to build their roster. And, you looked at it early. I can remember Derek or Joy, he's like, we don't have the pitching. Well, first of all, your A starters going in the first round. So that's a little dramatic, but I get what he was saying. But they still went 23-7 in SEC play just by yanking the ball out of the ballpark wherever they went. And it traveled too. So I don't claim to know. I think every year is different. I know everybody will chase trends. They do it in the NFL, MLB, whatever. In business, tech, right? Everybody's AI, everybody's chasing, this stock, this index fund, this thing. But would I pay money to have a 2 or 3 hour dinner or conference room meeting with Wes Johnson and Will Coggins so that they could explain to me exactly what they were trying to do? Well, they did what they wanted to do. They got to Omaha, but the who, where, why, and how of how they got to this roster? Hell yes. Yes, I would.
It really does look surgical.
But it's purpose-driven stuff. But they knew, it looked like they knew exactly what they wanted to do.
It was intentional, every bit of it.
Okay?
Yeah.
And will it work? I don't know. They're on a brutal side of the bracket. They're good. Texas is good. We'll see what else happens.
It's worked.
But yeah. How does the ball look? Can you get it out of the ballpark in Omaha? Yes. But does it play differently? I mean, it ain't Georgia's ballpark or Nebraska's ballpark.
No.
I mean, some of these, regardless of their dimensions, play small, where the ball is flying out.
I'd like that. But yes.
Okay.
I mean, because what does that Georgia team look like without home runs left and right? And what if a bunch of those long balls are fly, just pop-ups, just deep warning track pop-ups? They don't have half the runs. Omaha's different.
I think there were times, even Jacob Parker, who was incredible, at first, like it would go, now some of them from Georgia you knew, and from Mississippi State, you knew that thing is an absolute missile and it's going to Atlanta. Right. Okay. But there were also times where there would be a connection. I'd be like, is that going out? And then, I didn't feel like the camera angles were great over the weekend. They weren't terrible. But all of a sudden, they would give us the ball going in the out. And I go, damn, that's going to clear the fence too.
There were at least 3
I kept thinking, that could be called, or it could be real close at the wall. Nope, it wasn't.
Gone.
Yeah.
State had a few of them.
No doubt. Look, Ace
them.
and Jacob and Maluski, and those guys got every bit of their, it just, I don't know which way that park faces or what. I don't know about weather pattern. I don't know any about it. Okay. I just know damn nations the ball's flying out of that ballpark.
Flies.
So, but yeah, Mississippi State had a good year. Yeah. O'Connor's year 1 was good.
Success.
And you wanted more, and you should, and they're going to pump a running ton of money into this team, because they know you can't pay Brian O'Connor $3 million a year plus all the people he brought and not invest. So they're going to do that. And now you turn the page though. You tip your cap to Ace Reese, to Bryce Chance.
Yeah.
And some other guys that played good baseball for you. But this is it. The 2026 is in the books. Yeah. And then you go forward. Now you bring back all these pitchers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about starters. I don't know what you're going to do on the back end. And then Ole Miss has got these guys. Let's go with Bianco talking about guys sticking it out. I thought that was some good audio. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent in any of the 82 counties in the state of Mississippi. Michael Katz will join us, djournal.com, Ole Miss Insider at 8:30. Katz will join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Mike Bianco has punched his ticket, 3rd trip to the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. This is what Bianco had to say about those dudes that decided to stick it out.
Yeah, probably the time that you're talking about, that was the first thing that's, the first time that we lost players, and that we felt that. And, maybe I was a little naive, maybe I wasn't ready for that, but, in this era, sometimes that happens. And, when I think back to Will, guys that were good players, Judd, and those guys looking you in the face and said, "No, I'm good. I'm here." And back then Luke Hill was a big leader on the team, and there was this contingency of guys that kind of held it together, and certainly you appreciate it, and so much in this era. Of NIL and the transfer portal, so much is, put on the kids, and it's hard, it's pressure from the parents, pressure from the agents, pressure from a lot of different people. But you appreciate the guys that stick it out, and you got to think about guys like Will and Judd. They weren't, stars at that time. Will had a really good freshman year. Judd didn't play much his freshman year. And so, for those guys who look back at it, I think now, and 4 years later, or 3 years later, probably for that point, how cool that is, for those guys to be in that dog pile, and guys that stuck it out, guys that love Ole Miss, their parents and their family, their parents are here every weekend, the way it's supposed to be. And so, I think that part of it makes you feel good.
That was Mike Bianco, 2026 team heading to Omaha. We've got some more Bianco audio, but I want to comment on that, okay? So he's talking about Furness and Utermark and some of these guys, right? And y'all know that Furness's dad played at LSU and and that whole tie. And, of course, Mike Bianco played at LSU for Skip Bertman and with Ben McDonald. And you saw Ben McDonald's tweets, by the way, congratulating his friend Mike Bianco, which I thought was awesome. And Ben he's so enthusiastic about college baseball. He called the Georgia-Mississippi State Super Regional. But back to what Bianco said. I think you got to give Keith Carter credit. He's had to have 2 come-to-Jesus meetings, which is just part of it. He wants Mike to win, but there have been 2 times during Keith Carter, and this is leadership. Can your AD go in and have a really, really serious, what do we need to do? Here's the deal. We want to do everything we can for you. But what are the changes and the pivot that, different iteration, whatever, that we need to do to continue to move forward, Mike? All right, you've been here, you've won, you're an institution. No one's ever won like you have, all of that. Keith Carter twice said, here's what we have to do. And give Bianco credit this last time with the Joel Mangum move as pitching. Look, Mike wants to run, he's a control freak, okay? And most college baseball coaches are, and football, and in high school and so on. Most coaches are control freaks. And delegating is extremely difficult for them, or putting good people. Now, the high school, it depends on where you are. There's several schools around here who have money, and in around the state, there's some that don't. But the bottom line is SEC schools, as y'all know, they have money. Mike had to let go a little bit. And he did. And at that age, and with all the success he's had, I don't care who you are listening, even if you've done it, it's not easy. And Mike did it, and last year they hosted. It didn't go their way, but they hosted. So you still won a bunch of games. Because after the national championship, things didn't go well, just like in Starkville. And prior to him punching his ticket, obviously he was almost fired that same year in 2022, right? Because of what happened in 2021. And we all remember that. And yet, through the sit-downs of challenging Mike, which not all athletic directors can do. They don't have the stuff or the metal to go in and have a real serious, no BS. Look, this is what we're going to have to do, or we're going to have to let you go eventually. This is just the way it is. This is the SEC. Everybody wants to win in every single sport. And yet Mike Bianco had the ability, after making millions of dollars, he's got years and years and years of state retirement. He's been to the Supers, He won the national championship in 2022, but one of those come to Jesus happened prior to that. And then within the last couple of years, he has the ability to not be such a control freak like coaches are and make some adjustments and continue to do what they do. And now they punch their ticket to Omaha. It's an incredible story where coaches are usually the last to change. I mean, Joe Moorhead was not going to change. Matt Luke wasn't going to change. I mean, there's been there, I don't know what Jeff Lebby's going to do. We'll see. I mean, the odds are stacked against him, obviously. But when coaches keep guys on staff because they're their buds. And that just, if they're awesome, great. But if they're not producing, but they make you comfortable and they'll tell you what you want to hear every Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, that's just a different deal.
Yeah.
But Mike was able to, whatever you want to say, disrupt himself or the program. And look what happened. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, my dude's out here pretty much just, he's a chameleon, man. He blends and he changes where he needs to change.
And we didn't think that would be the case. Ole Miss fans, I mean, he has been fired a million times on my text line or when I'm out at lunch, dinner, or seeing my buddies.
Oh.
Okay? And this year, people were posting what his buyout was, how much they had in the NIL, and so on. And yet, when you're an SEC team and you're just good, you got a chance to go to Omaha. And then again, Mike and Joel Mangum, I'm sure, among others, okay, did a great job. Now, again, some of this is guys who have stayed, but then also guys who they brought in. So, combination of. And look, this Walker Hooks, guys, what in the world is going on? He's the MVP.
Yeah.
He's the MVP. Walker Hooks is the MVP. I know there can be other MVPs, but he is the MVP. Without a doubt. All right, I got more audio. I went a little long there. So, all right, this is after the game. Mike Bianco talking to all of them, Hooks and Utermark and Furness and so on, Federico. This is Mike Bianco after they go in and take the Auburn Super Regional in 2 games. No. Okay. All right. Do you want to just play the Stormtrooper and then we'll go back? All right, cool. All right. This is Mike Bianco talking about the Stormtrooper helmet. We'll play the other one on the other side at 8 a.m.
Coach, what do you think about the Stormtrooper helmet and how did you feel putting it on tonight?
Well, I felt no choice. I had to put that on. Hudson Calhoun, brought it out in front of, it seemed like about 500 Ole Miss fans, and so you got to put it on. But I remember the day that it showed up in the meeting room, and I like Star Wars, but kids make fun of me. I've only seen the first one and a little bit of the second one, so I know there's 10 of them, so I catch flack for that. But the first one was the best, But I put it on in Gainesville, and so I think they thought it was all right to do after that. And then obviously when Judd put it on the first time, that's one of the cool things about college baseball, and it's always been there. The kids, how genuine and how sincere they are with their teammates, and being, we talk about the bus, but the locker room, they spend so much time with one another. Have these little quirky, things that they think are so cool, whatever that is, handshakes and different things. And so it's neat that there's so many of you out there that get to take pictures and know about it. That for years this has been going on for 30, 40 years. Nobody ever knew about it. Now, in the last 10, 15 years, there's cameras and video everywhere. So it's been pretty neat.
All right, that was Mike Bianco talking about the Stormtrooper Star Wars helmet. Is that Mike Bianco or what? I've only watched 1.5. Guys, we have talked about it. There is not a more serious, intense person that I've been around. I've been around him since day one, okay, because we've been interviewing him for 23, 24 years. That guy is all baseball and family, and that's it. And kudos to him. He has no distractions. I mean, we've laughed about it over the years. You can't go anywhere with him in an interview except baseball. That's fine. But I can remember once I asked him to share a Ben McDonald story, and he said, I can't really think of one. Dude, this guy is locked in. And when you walk down on the field, for example, when you go to the Governor's Cups, and before the game, I'd walk down, talk to Mike. And, super cordial, super nice. But it's all business. I mean, I'm not going to ask him about food or he is one of the most locked in human beings I've ever been around. And I've been around a bunch of these guys for years. And many of them have been successful. Some not, but some have. He's obviously one of the most successful coaches in the history of the state of Mississippi, right? Between super regionals and now, 3 Omaha appearances and possibly a second national championship. This Walker Hooks guy, dude, so they won it all at Brandon a couple years ago. And he was unbelievable. He's 6'4", 260 pounds. I mean, he looks like a football player. He's left-handed, and he can throw and throw and throw. And he already did what he did in the Nebraska regional, and now look what he did in the Super. Yeah, that's a big boy. So for those of y'all who know him or watched him play at Brandon, tell me about him. Tell me about Walker Hooks on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line. 601-885-3776. They played the championship game at Mud Monsters Park where he threw. So tell me more about that. I knew he was from Brandon, but I didn't know much more than that. And he's got some pretty good baseball lineage. Is that a right good word? Okay. And, of course, Delta State is weaved somewhere in here, which every single baseball story, damn near every baseball story in the state of Mississippi has a Delta State stop somewhere in the family. It's unbelievable. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're driven by your next GMC Sierra truck. GMC Yukon at Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. Hit their website, FOWLER, GMC.com.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
Is now awarded.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
All right, good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Yeah, we'll have to get some Mike Bianco drops. I don't have any, but with all this audio that we have, we'll be able to get at least the Star Wars one or something. It was funny, because Mike is so serious and so focused and locked in. The fact that he warmed up to wearing the Stormtrooper helmet is funny.
Yeah.
I can remember interviewing Mike. Well, we've interviewed him dozens of times, but what was the year? Damn. What? Let's see. The year, was it the Cubs and Indians in the World Series? Yeah. We interviewed him after he took his son.
That's right.
To whichever World Series game it was out of the series.
Yeah.
They went to Cleveland because what's his name at that time was playing for the Indians. And so Mike took one of his sons. And I'm pretty sure we can even go retrieve that the next day or so. I'm pretty sure he said, I've never been to an MLB baseball game.
He did say that.
Or maybe since he started coaching, maybe he went to, some as a kid or whatever, but you don't have time to do that for the most part when you're an SEC baseball coach and you also have fall ball. Even for the play, you're still knocking out, I don't know what it is, 15 or 20 practices in the fall. And so that was pretty incredible when you think about it. I mean, this man is all baseball, all business. I don't know what his hobbies are other than trying to make Ole Miss good to really good every year. But it's an incredible story that he had his back against the wall again.
Yeah.
And was willing to make some changes. And again, the details I don't know. I know, look, he's still the driving force, the CEO, the leader, the head dude, but maybe he delegated a little bit more, but he definitely hired Joel Mangum. And that has worked out. I mean, they hosted last year, then they went a regional and super on the road to go to Omaha. Now, we'd like to hear from you, your reaction to Ole Miss's season and your reaction to Mississippi State's baseball season, and whoever else you're following. I mean, Texas, Georgia, Bama, West Virginia, and that story. But definitely your reaction on Ole Miss and Mississippi State. The Dancing Rabbit Golf text line is 601-885-3776. And this Walker Hooks stuff is insane. And so his grandfather, Ray Bridges, played football and ran track at Delta State?
That's right.
Okay. I was just making sure I got that right from you.
That's right.
All right. And his father played 2 seasons of college football?
Correct.
Okay. And his great uncle was a right-handed pitcher and was drafted out of high school by the Montreal Expos?
Even more correct.
Okay. All right. So the
It's there.
it's like, Jake Mangum is in a family where his dad played at the University of Alabama in 9 seasons with the Bears. His uncle went to Alabama and Ole Miss and played in the NFL. There's a lot of stuff going on there where you're like, dang.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can just get one person in the family to play SEC sports, that's incredible. Then if you get multiple, plus they go on to play pro ball, you're kind of like, whoa. And now Jake Mangum has started games in Major League Baseball. mean, that's a lot of pro stuff. Walker Hooks here is his brother playing where your friend or did play? Where Fat Pat's brother coaches at Pearl River?
Pearl River, you talking about the national championship? Or the national champions, Pearl River, sorry.
Excuse me, the national champions.
That's what they are.
And I'm trying to follow all this. Y'all can correct me or tell me if I'm going down the right road. But Walker Hooks played baseball at Brandon High School and was an absolute force of nature, as you can tell. He's 6'4", 65 pounds. Again, he looks like kind of looks like an edge rusher or a tight end, right? Or even at a smaller school, an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Right?
Man, yeah.
Is that fair?
265.
265. Left-hander. And I don't know what his MLB stock looks like. According to this, he's a sophomore.
Going up.
But I don't know, draft eligible. He may not be draft eligible. Some sophomores are because they get held back. You just got to be 21 or 3 years out. Y'all know that, whatever. But Ole Miss, as far as Hunter and Rabe and Townsend on the front end, Townsend didn't even have to throw this weekend. And then Walker Hooks, MVP, and Calhoun and Robertson. And there's more.
How is he that big?
So this is enough. I mean, they've got enough to do it. Yeah. And they're in a bracket that is super advantageous with West Virginia, Troy, and North Carolina. And Ole Miss will play the North Carolina Tar Heels in their game one of the College World Series. So, again, the text line, 601-885-3776. And then on the other side, Georgia beat Mississippi State 6 times this year. I would have lost a lot of money, even as good as they are. And they're freaky at the plate, filthy freaky. But now I don't know how. I'm not saying, look, they can hit the ball anywhere, but I don't know how that looks out in Omaha. Do I think it'll travel to a certain extent? Yes. To what? I don't know. No way. That ballpark's a little funky out there, as all of you know. Although I feel like in the last few years, I don't know if this is strength and guys getting bigger, there have been more balls fly out of that park than what we had, a few years ago. But I don't have any stats, metrics to.
I like that.
Yeah.
Going off straight feel.
This guy says Hooks' little brother just graduated from Brandon and will play for Pearl River next season. Okay. Got it. Trying to weave my way through all of this. So his dad played 2 seasons of college football, but where?
That's what
I don't have that.
I'm looking.
Was it at Ole Miss or somewhere? Okay. And so what are we doing here? Is Walker Hooks the next Mississippi high school pitcher to become a first-round pick in the MLB draft? Because the frame, the left arm, the SEC experience, and the pedigree are all there. It was a hell of a sign by Bianco.
Yeah, I can buy that. They love drafting off potential.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, you get a 6'4", 265. That's potential. Lefty, come on. He's getting drafted.
Filthy. And he's just a damn baller. And he's a big man.
He's a big boy.
And he can shove. And Ole Miss got there. I understand the timely hitting, but the reason why they're in Omaha is pitching.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Both starting and back-end bullpen. 1,000% they are there because of the bump.
Yep.
And Bianco's willingness to whatever. What you can call it whatever you want. Pivot, adjust. And Keith Carter being an athletic director that will have tough-ass conversations with his coaches. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.
look at that.
Michael Katz, Ole Miss Insider on ESPN 105.9 The Zone at 8:30. We are the Out of Bounds Show. He'll join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Good morning. Welcome in. The show is also brought to you by Superior Foundation for all your foundation repairs. Superior Foundation. Superior.ms. Comes with a warranty, locally owned, the #1 foundation company in Mississippi, is powered by Superior.ms. Superior.ms. Show is also presented by Matt Anderson, Southeastern Land Group. If you're looking for your next piece of property, baby, and I know you are, your next farm or hunting camp, whatever it is you want to do, Matt Anderson, Southeastern Land Group. Matt Anderson, Southeastern Land Group, 601-408-5155. And he has built a great business. Matt Anderson, Southeastern Land Group will put you on the property that you want. 601-408-5155. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Ole Miss to the CWS. Mississippi State eliminated by Georgia. And, better team won in that regional. Now, I know Mississippi State had a shot, some good shots late. You were up and just couldn't close it out. And I don't know. I didn't ever feel like that the bullpen could ever close the game out on Georgia. I just never got. Now, I understand the first game you went up 7-0.
Yeah,
that's devastating, right? And then things got out of hand. They really got on Tomas. And was it the fifth inning that lasted like an hour?
They touched him,
and just couldn't get out, couldn't get the 3 outs. And I know that was tough too. Well, beyond tough, it's devastating. I mean, it's rip. When you get beaten in a super regional, we've talked about it for years. Dogs, Rebs, when you get beaten in a super regional, devastating. Because everybody says, it's about it's about getting to the super regionals, because that means you've got a chance to do everything you want to do, best 2 or 3. We all know that. Our teams should be more than set up to do that, because as we discuss, they play 10 conference series, and it's just, the league's amazing. Filthy talented, crazy talented, and they set up 4 teams to play each other in the super regional. And that is lame, but that's what happened. And also very advantageous path for Ole Miss on their side of the bracket. You got West Virginia and Troy, great stories, and you got North Carolina too, as far as in that side of the bracket. On the other side, Georgia, Texas, and we'll see what else plays out, right? So, and Mike Bianco's the toast of the town.
Again, after he was fired, I look back at our pod. You mentioned in the last segment, maybe we could look back and find something from Bianco. So
right.
Just, perusing the files that we have, I typed in Mike Bianco, and I wish there's so many entrants that say Mike Bianco hot seat.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. There's at least twice a year.
Well, yeah.
I don't get it.
And yet hiring Joel Mangum, getting guys to stay, and he mentioned, Hunter's been there forever, and Will Furness and Judd Utermark and so on. And then you got some other Mississippi homegrown talent and Walker Hooks from Brandon. And then the back end of your pen. It's incredible. Let's switch gears here for just a second. We'll go back to Ole Miss baseball at 8:30 because we'll have Michael Katz on.
Yeah.
Katz gets to go back out to Omaha. DJournal.com, Ole Miss Insider. He'll join us to talk about all the storylines around Mike Bianco, who is going to outlive us all as the Ole Miss baseball coach. It's unbelievable.
I think Katz is going to do some partying.
Well, he definitely needs to take some Jello shots.
I mean, he's got to add
at Rocco's or whatever the place is.
Got to add to the board.
LSU's not in there. So you got what? Now, I tell you who's going to party is West Virginia fans.
Good luck.
All right, first College World Series appearance. I mean, they're singing Mountain Mama, Take Me Home, da-da-da. They got absolute pandemonium in their ballpark. They packed that thing like crazy. they're so proud of their state, and they haven't won a lot
in anything.
Yeah, I mean, they've had their moments in football with Rich Rod.
Yeah,
and we're going to the national championship game, but lost to Pitt. Huggins had a good basketball program going,
no doubt.
And they've had some other stuff happen, but this is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Huggins never made it.
And so they're going to go out and party their bells off too.
Yeah.
Ole Miss has been, Texas has been, Georgia's been, and Troy will get excited. They just and they pack their part, and they'll have some people go. But I think West Virginia is the one that you look at as the party.
I think yeah, for sure.
Okay,
because they don't care.
Yeah, and they're kind of the way they did it and singing to their crowd after the game, that got people going everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tickets were purchased immediately.
All right. Do we have the Eddie-O?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's switch gears. Y'all, Ed Ogeron talking recruiting is the best thing ever. And this is Eddie-O on how he was retained when the coach was fired at Southern Cal and they hired Pete Carroll.
And Mike Garrett had told us, listen, if you want to stay with USC, go on the road recruit. Well, obviously a lot of guys didn't. Some guys did. I was one that did, okay? So I'm going out on the road recruiting, and people are saying, what are you doing? And laughing at you. I said, hey, they fired the head coach. They didn't fire me yet. And they're going, yeah, right. So anyway, it's about 2 weeks, and this is a great story. And I'm watching Sean Cody's state championship game. He was the USA Defensive Player of the Year. I went up to the stadium to shake Big Mike's hand. The mama and the grandma was there, and the coach from UCLA was to the left. The coach from Notre Dame was to the right. I went to shake Big Mike's hand. He says, hey, Coach, I'm sorry. My son is not going to USC. You don't have a coach, and I don't even know if you have a job. And then, obviously, the guy from UCLA and the guy from Notre Dame started laughing. Mm-hmm. I looked at Mike, and I said, I'm going to coach at USC as long as I want. I'm going to coach your son. So I left. It was about halftime. I said, you know what? I ought to go up there and give those guys a piece of my mind. I said, you know what? Not a good idea.
Yeah.
So I'm going home. If you guys are in Los Angeles, I'm going down the 714 highway. Freeway, I'm going to Lisa Ville in my hometown. And my friend Barry Sher calls me. He says, Coach, what are you doing? In California, they have several state championships. I said, I'm on my way home from a state championship. I said, hey, you ought to come to Anaheim Stadium. I looked 100 feet. There's the sign to Anaheim Stadium. I said, I'm coming. I go there. It's about 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Barry Sher, my friend, gives me a sideline pass to go on the sideline. It's 10:30. It's foggy. I'm watching, I believe it was Loyola versus Long Beach Poly. They had the 5 great juniors. I knew every one of them. Guess who walks up to me? Pete Carroll. I got my USC stuff on. He says, Coach, what are you doing? I said, I'm recruiting. He goes, for who? I said, USC. He says, you know these players out here? I said, yeah, there's Manuel Wright. There's Herschel Dennis. And I talked about all the players. And I looked at him. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to be named the head coach at USC on Monday. I said, really? I said, okay, good. I said, well, Coach, I'm going to be in some schools on Monday morning. I'm going to get you on the phone with some recruits. We're going to call the recruits, and here we go. So he says, okay. He said, here's my number. Don't tell nobody I'm in town. I said, all right. And he never told me he was going to get a job or nothing. So I go to Sean Cody's school on Monday. I get Coach on the phone with him. He's going to be the first guy to talk to Sean Cody, all that stuff. And so he said, hey, Eddie, what are you doing at 2 o'clock? I got my press conference. I said, Coach, I'll be there. So I go to the press conference. He does all this stuff, and he said he meets with the staff. And I'm sitting in a corner, and he goes, guys, a lot of good coaches on the staff, but I'm going to start with you. I'm not keeping anybody. And I went, are you kidding me? And I walk out, he goes, all except you, Eddie, let's get to work.
Oh, man. That's the
And
best.
then we started recruiting together. Sean Cody was the USA Defensive Player of the Year. He came to USA. Me and Big Mike became best friends.
That's grit right there.
That's great.
Oh, look at that.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. It's Walker Hooks Day on the show with the text messages. We're over a couple of dozen text messages just on Brandon High School right down the road from us, just on Walker Hooks and everybody that knows him and his family. And the high school career that he has and all the people in the family that have played sports and the fact that he played for a 7A team that won the state championship. He's the MVP in my opinion. Y'all may have some other guys. He's the MVP. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The Out of Bounds show is driven by your next GMC Sierra truck. Fowler GMC Pearl Brandon. Speaking of Brandon, Fowler GMC, FOWLER. FowlerGMC.com to see your next pre-owned or new GMC Sierra truck or GMC Yukon. Michael Katz, DJournal.com, Ole Miss Insider. He gets to cover another team going to Omaha in the College World Series. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Michael Katz, did you think that this team would be headed to Omaha?
Depends when you ask me. If you had asked me in February, I probably would have said no. But teams surprise you, and matchups this time of year are so important. And this team's really kind of found itself these last couple of weeks.
Who is your? So I've got Walker Hooks as the MVP, but there's plenty of guys that have played unbelievable baseball on the bump and at the plate. Who would be Michael Katz's MVP the last 2 weekends?
I mean, I think that what Taylor Rabe has added to this team since coming in the rotation and really these last few starts, he has really, I mean, depending on the day, you've got three aces out there, and he has been, he didn't even have his best stuff a couple days ago against Auburn, and he still went 7 innings, career high, most for any Ole Miss pitcher this year, struck out 8 or 9, gave up 2 runs against a very, very good team. I think his emergence has really changed the dynamic of this team. I mean, Hunter Elliott this time of year, you know what you're getting for the most part. You're gonna get a guy who's gonna keep you in the game and compete, and we saw that in game 1. But Taylor Rabe and Townsend, the stuff is filthy. And Rabe has just been a little bit more consistent these last few weeks. So I think his emergence has really changed the way we look at this team.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So those are maybe co-MVPs. Now the bullpen, Katz, I mean, you've got Hooks, Calhoun, Robertson, and more. I mean, is there a better bullpen in the country right now?
I mean, they are hot right now, and everybody plays their role. You know, J.P. Robertson wasn't always he didn't have the cleanest year, but really these last few weeks he's been awesome, and they have just so many arms that can do different things. I mean, Hooks is so different from Calhoun, and he's so different from Robertson, and I mean, Will Libbard even, when he came in the Lincoln Regional, really saved that game. Started for part of the year and went to the bullpen because he was ineffective, and that's when Taylor Rabe came in. But there's not a ton of guys you get throwing 95, 96 from the left side, and he's got off-speed stuff too. So I think that what they can do in matchup wise, obviously Mike Bianca is always going to want to go to Hooks in certain situations because he's your closer, he's your all-SEC guy. But if you need to throw Hudson Calhoun out there, you feel pretty good. If you have to throw Robertson out there, you feel pretty good. If it calls for Will Libbard, I think they feel pretty good right now too. It's a really it's a diverse bullpen, and I think that this time of year, that combined with their starters, this is a really dangerous team.
Michael Katz, Ole Miss Insider on the Out of Bounds show. Rebs punched their ticket as they take the Auburn Super Regional in 2 games. They'll play North Carolina in their game 1, and their side of the bracket is super advantageous. Don't you think, Katz?
Yeah, no, it's you can't control who you play, and they place you where they place you. But I mean, if we're looking at it, there's certainly a path, and Again, every team is different, and the 2022 team's path was very different than this one. But you sort of look at some parallels. They're both undefeated in the postseason. You kind of look at the bracket and you see a way through. And who knows what happens if you get to the championship? Matchup and who it ends up being against. Obviously, Georgia looks really good right now, but weird things happen in the College World Series. So, there's a path, and again, with how they're playing right now, they're hard to go against. They have everything you look for in a team this time of year.
Yeah, because their pitching got super hot, both front line and back end, as you know, starting and bullpen. Michael Katz, djournal.com. Hey, will you talk? You've followed this for several years now, and Bianco. I've been doing this for like 23 years, and Mike's the only guy that's been the head coach in Oxford and Starkville the whole time I've been on, and so I've interviewed him more than anybody else, and so on. And he's also been on the hot seat more than anybody else, I think, in the history of possibly Mississippi sports, and also had more success. Talk about coming out of the national championship, things didn't go well, and he and Keith Carter had conversations. He had to make changes. And at that point in his career, he was willing to, and the Joel Mangum ad, just talk about how it's difficult for all of us to pivot and adapt and evolve. And what Mike did is maybe shedding a layer and looking at things from a different angle and maybe delegating a little bit more, Katz. I know you followed it. Walk me through it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. You win a College World Series. You did the same job for 2 decades. You're on top of the world, and then things go extremely poorly the next 2 years. And in this era of college sports, you have to adapt. And I think that one part of it is, with NIL and the transfer portal, you sort of have to learn what you need and what you do and the sort of things that you look for. Because let's be honest, their first couple transfer portal falls didn't necessarily go great overall. And then they lost some guys. So there was that. But then I think too, like you mentioned, again, Mike had so much success for more than a couple decades, calling pitches himself. That was part of what he did, and he admitted that becoming less of a coach and more of a manager was really hard because you're so used to doing something and you've done it at a high level for so long, and then suddenly it's not something that you're excelling at, and you have to do something about it. And you use the word delegation, and Mike brought this up. Like, this team isn't where it is right now. Joel Mangum isn't there, and Joel's done an incredible job with this pitching staff. It is a perfect no, but man, if you're looking at advantages for teams this time of year, what he has added and what this staff has, it's pretty incredible, and it's a weapon. And so I think that, for Mike, I do think there was, I imagine it probably was really hard to, kind of take your hands off a little bit more and say, hey, this thing that I've been doing forever that worked really, really well and won a national title a few years ago, among other things, I got to do something different now. I have to be the CEO type more than the quote unquote coach. And he said he admitted that was hard. But you have to evolve and you have to adapt. And I think that, a lot of times we see veteran coaches be unable to do that. Younger coaches, it's a young man's game sometimes, right? Guys who have come up in these sorts of situations and understand how it all works. But, for a veteran coach like Mike to be able to completely alter what he does and how he does it, in a matter of a few years, and to completely go from, 6-24 in the SEC to the College World Series, and just, in Will Furness's career, that's the trajectory it was. It's only a few years, right? to be able to do that, I think it's a testament to him. And I know he's been on the hot seat more than any coach I've ever covered.
Me
and
too.
I've only been here like 5 years, and it seems like there's always a conversation. But I think when it's all said and done, I don't think Ole Miss could ask for a better head coach than Mike Bianco.
No, Michael Katz, djournal.com, on the Out of Bounds show. When's their first game?
It is Friday.
Okay. All right. Are they playing the afternoon or night game?
I don't think we know that yet.
Okay.
I think we'll get that today. It might have come out late last night, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't yet. I think it'll be sometime today.
When are you heading out there?
I am headed out Wednesday.
Okay.
I know there's probably part of you that wanted to mention it, but we did avoid the Michael Katz Bowl because we almost had USC and Ole Miss.
Oh, that's right. I don't know why I didn't pick, because we've taught Southern Cal with you over the years, which has been a ton of fun with you being a Southern Cal alum. That's right, man. Y'all had a hell of a super regional with North Carolina and Chapel Hill, didn't you?
Yeah. No, it's funny because I thought the Michael Katz Bowl was going to be in football because they had that home and home scheduled with SC. And then that got canceled and, rescheduled to other games and stuff. And then I saw this and I was like, man, I think my nightmare might finally happen. And then, as USC does for much of my life, they blew it. So, I didn't have to worry about it.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that. All right. Michael Katz heading to Omaha on Wednesday. Now, last time you were out there, did you take shots at Rocco's?
I think I had one the last night I was there.
Okay.
Not really my cup of tea.
Right.
That is a young man's game, and I'm no longer a young man.
All right. Well, who do you, West Virginia feels like the party. Ole Miss has done it. LSU's done it. Mississippi State. There have been others. Don't you get the sense, the excitement around West Virginia? And I've been out there 4 times, and so once you go, you get the deal. I feel like West Virginia is going to be the party school out there this year. How do you see it?
I totally agree. Someone asked me that yesterday without hesitation. I was like, West Virginia. Did you see their super regional was electric. This is their first time at the College World Series. They know how to party already, and when you've got a first-time situation, it's hard for me to not see them having a very, very good time no matter how long they're there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wide open, and you don't know how long you're going to be out there. I think they're going to be like when you go on a guy's trip or you go on a vacation and you go all out that first night. I see Westford whenever they get there, Wednesday night, I guess, but a lot of them Thursday. So for Thursday night, I think you should go to Rocco's just to watch them on Thursday night, Katz. Are you willing to do that?
I mean, it'll be performance art. I think it might be a once in a lifetime situation.
All right. Michael Katz, Ole Miss Insider, djournal.com, on the Out of Bounds show. We were talking earlier, and he's got Taylor Rabe. I've got Walker Hooks as MVPs. You can make them co-MVPs. Bacetta getting going again, right? I mean, and this is a story that you know all about. So he's at Clemson. He's got a UCL, coming off UCL surgery. He's not really getting much traction in the portal. And he has Duke, and then someone from Ole Miss puts him in with the Ole Miss staff. Can you walk me through some of that too, Katz?
Yeah. I mean, he was not one of the huge additions that we talked about. I don't think any of us really knew how much of a factor he was going to be because, like you said, not a ton of traction in the portal, obviously the injury and. I think he had like 7 career home runs coming into when he finally got to Ole Miss. Listen, has it been a consistent year for him? No, there's been some amazing stretches. and there's been some not so good ones. At one point I think he was hitting like 340, and then that went down, and I think he's right around 280 or something right now, which is, again, in the SEC, a very, very good player, and when you've got the power he has. But, man, I mean, just what he has added in the lineup, you know what you're getting with Furness, you know what you're getting with Judd Unermark. To have another bat who can turn a game upside down with one swing. I mean, listen, he does not get cheated on a swing. That home run that he hit at Auburn, I don't think I've seen a ball move that fast in a while, because that was coming right down the line where we were, and it was just a blur. And he admired it, and he knew it was a big one. And I think there's something to be said for that sort of swagger. He's added a lot to this team. He's been huge. Again, there's a lot of guys who you can point to that this team isn't where it is if they're not a part of it. And Bicetta's emergence to a 20-plus home run guy. I mean, he's only like one away from tying the school single season record. I mean, I don't think any of us had that on our bingo cards when the season started, or if you did, boy, you are far better at this than I am.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he's been incredible. Again, there's this. Again, I think you look at a couple years ago when the portal thing just didn't go right, and now you look at it and have they all been hits? No, but Dom Decker has given you so much at the top of the lineup, and Bicetta has given you a ton. I mean, I think when you even just looking at those two, and Foley, he's a guy who started his career at Kentucky, and that's another. Again, is he perfect? No, but he has meant a ton to this team. Those portal hits have been huge these last few years, and I think Bicetta has been a huge part of what this team has done this year.
Michael Katz, Ole Miss insider, Southern Cal grad, now Omaha insider, and maybe even Rocco's expert and insider, depending on how the week shakes out. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. All right, my man, your work will continue. No summer vacation right now because you've got more postseason baseball. Did you have a trip planned and have to move it?
Nope. I after 2022, I decided to never schedule anything again.
Right.
Until I absolutely need to. So I know that the College World Series, I believe, ends the 22nd. I believe that Media Days in Tampa for football are July 22nd. So that'll be a couple weeks for me to take a breath, but not right now.
Well, dude, this is an unbelievable story. And whether it's Hunter Elliott or Bicetta and so many others, it's insane. And so here we go with Bianco and the Rebs headed to his third trip to the College World Series. Y'all follow Michael Katz. He'll be writing about, covering the personalities and all the different things happening with this Ole Miss baseball team as they head to Omaha. DJournal.com, Michael Katz on the Out of Bounds show. Be good, my man.
Appreciate you.
Katz, I didn't even think about that. I should have I usually do, because we've taught Southern Cal with him, and it just never, I was monitoring that over the weekend with Southern Cal and North Carolina playing in the Super Regional, and it went 3 games, and North Carolina won, and that's who Ole Miss will play. So there we go. I know he was all over it, both at Auburn, and then, they got to go home. I mean, Ole Miss was done on Saturday and in because Auburn had nothing for Ole Miss late in the game, in both games. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Do we have the I want to go with the Bianco after the game. Okay. All right. This is Mike Bianco talking to his 2026 Ole Miss baseball team after wrapping up the Supers.
You deserved it, and I'm proud of you. And, from the start of this tournament, from Lincoln to here, we talked about it for weeks, how you handle hard, and this hadn't been easy. None of them, none of the games, right? But man, did you guys just persevere? We talked about it. The game doesn't demand excellence, but it's persistence. And man, that was you guys. And I'm so proud of every one of you for sticking with it, for being great teammates. Even when maybe you weren't at your best, you could tell the energy in the dugout that you wanted to succeed. And this is what happens, the culmination of that. You deserve it. To you seniors that have been around for a while, congratulations. You deserve this more than anybody. I'm proud of all of you. If we had a shirt, I'd give it to Furnace. I don't know where the hell the shirt is, but Fern, you finally get a shirt.
All right, cool. I don't know what they sing, so I didn't listen all the way through. Just making sure that we're good. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. That was Mike Bianco after Ole Miss beat Auburn in Game 2 to go to Omaha, Nebraska, and the College World Series. So again, on the Ole Miss side, you've got Ole Miss and North Carolina, and you've got West Virginia and Troy. Right now on the other side, you've got Georgia and Texas, and I don't know if you have another team yet or not. So we'll just see. Yeah?
Certainly feels like your winner or your favorite. How about that? It's coming out of that Athens Super Regional.
So you like Georgia? I mean, obviously they played well throughout the year.
Yeah.
It's weird. They again, I'd like to know more about Wes Johnson and Will Coggin and their. Look, they've had a million conversations. They've been building this team for a while. They've already had success out of the gate there, and Wes's 3 years. They've already been successful in the postseason. However, this year they they were the leader in the SEC start to finish. I mean, they just got up there and then they just won, and they went 23-7, and then they went through the tournament and. Now, look, Mississippi State just stretched them a little bit in both games. But, man, under pressure at the plate and even on the mound, even with all the runs scored, they did what they had to do. But I'd pay a lot of money to have been in the room or just go to dinner with them and let Wes Johnson and Will Coggin tell me about how they built this roster. Like, what was the plan and how did you get here with the guys that you have, both pitching too, but definitely hitting? It looks like a bunch of strong safeties in the Southeastern Conference football. That's what it looks like. I mean, Walker Hooks for Ole Miss is an outlier, but Georgia is a bunch of damn strong safeties in SEC football. We're powered by RPT and Rick's Pro Truck, spraying bedliners, lift kits.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out of Order.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
Maybe your fan base would rather lose to Alabama.
It looks so fresh.
We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome in. It's College World Series Omaha week. It's U.S. Open week, and it's Father's Day weekend this weekend. And we have a team in the College World Series, Mike Bianco's Ole Miss Rebels, for their third trip under Mike Bianco. We'll head to Omaha. They'll play North Carolina on Friday. And West Virginia and Troy are also on that side of the bracket. And so U.S. Open, College World Series, and Father's Day. And holy Mary Olzab, Ole Miss didn't come out of nowhere, but also they had a good season. And then right at the right time, everybody starts humming on the mound, both starters and, you know, the bullpen, and Taylor Rabe and Walker Hooks. Good Lord. And all of a sudden, bam, Ole Miss wins 5 in a row, and they're in Omaha. People had moved on to Trinidad in football after losing to Missouri in the SEC baseball tournament, and you just never know. If you're still good, you got good players, you've always got a chance to kind of find the magic. The Joel Mangum hire for Mike Bianco, fascinating. We're ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Bianco's back's against the wall again. Keith Carter and his team is like, you know, they're for him. Again, ADs are for coaches. They want them to win so they don't have to fire him. And they already know Mike's track record. I mean, Keith's known Mike's track record even before Keith went to Ole Miss. I know he went as a player, but I'm talking about even before the whole him getting into the athletic administration. And so he understood the track record. He understood he was dealing with a coach who had won consistently, and had won at a high level. But whether it was going into 2022 or after the rough years after the national championship, Mike Bianco says yes. Some coaches say no and get fired. Mike Bianco says yes, makes changes. Joel Mangum comes in. He's a Brandon, Mississippi native, just like Walker Hooks. And he spent 6 years with the Cleveland Guardians in Major League Baseball. And for those, he was the Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Guardians. And for 4 those years, he was the Guardians minor league pitching coordinator. All right. And so he was heavily involved in pitcher development. And you know how much they specialize up there. I mean, you got your own guy, basically. You know, that's all you're doing is trying to get better in whatever role, starter, mid-relief, or closer. And then it's really, I mean, he was a total baseball grinder, dirtbag. I'm looking at Hines Community College, Milligan University. He's not making money at this time, right? Austin P, no. New Mexico State. I mean, they don't care about baseball. La Monroe, and then Cleveland Guardians organization. And then, bam. You know, Mike Bianco ran the pitching staff, ran everything about it, ran the catchers, called the pitches. And it's like a play caller giving up. You know, we talk about nonstop OCs and DCs in football. And when you've been a play caller for a long, long time, which is the same thing as calling pitches, like Mike Bianco had done. Mike was a catcher for Skip Bertman at LSU, right? Most important position on the field outside of pitcher, but it's the one that plays every day. Y'all know that. And Mike is a catcher. He dealt with pitchers his whole life. He played at LSU. And yet, you know, he and Keith and so on are having very, very difficult, tough conversations. And I'm sure it was hard. And now Mike has punched his ticket to another 4-year rollover. And he'll be able to, whatever he wants to do, whether he wants to head out in 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, or who knows with Mike. He may just go another 4 after this next 4. But he will be rewarded with a brand new massive contract. And they were able to figure this thing out. And that's what a big-time athletic director can go in and have really, really blunt, tough conversations, but also on how we got to get better. But this is what we have to do. Some ADs can't do that, and allow coaches to run back assistants or not change or not make changes. And Greg Byrne is going to make you do that. And Keith Carter and some others, and then some are not. But Keith will have that difficult, tough conversation, and it paid off. I'm sure Mike didn't like it, but a few years ago when this was going down, but now he's sitting there thinking, man, I've extended my career, and now we're going back to Omaha. All right, the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line is 601-885-3776, 601-885-3776. We would like to get your reaction from the weekend and everything that played out. And look, it's tough for Mississippi State fans right now. You had a good year, but losing in a super regional in 2 razor-thin close games is brutal and devastating. But you also had some good moments, Bryce Chance, Ace Reese, and some other guys. You got Tomas and McPherson and Jacob Parker and some good pieces coming back. And so we'll see how that, Jacob Parker is a freshman. I can't think of another, I could have missed one, but somebody to have that kind of impact as a true freshman, Jake was unbelievable. I mean, Mangum and then Will and Raffy. I don't think there's many as a true freshman. Of course, now Parker's done it with power and big, he can sweep the bases and all that kind of stuff and damn near won it for you. Yes. I mean, did everything, he could. I want to tell you about Professional Park in Starkville, Mississippi. It's going to be a dynamic home for small and mid-sized businesses in Starkville. Newly renovated, 40,000 square feet. Over 10,000 open right now. If you want to move your business, if you want to expand, or you want to move to Starkville, add another location, we've got it for you right here at proparkstarkville.org. proparkstarkville.org. Check it out. You've got the GTR Airport, direct flights from Atlanta, Dallas, Fort Worth every day. We just put Wilkes on the Atlanta flight. It's so great. I mean, it's 12 minutes from campus. It's the leader in research and economic development, over $350 million a year. As far as Mississippi State University and research, which there's all kinds of ancillary businesses that are involved in that. Plus, you got the $10+ billion that have gone in right there by the airport. And, you've got Steel Dynamics and PACCAR and Airbus and all that stuff that's happened. So now's the time as Starkville grows in the GTR and everything that's going on between research and economic development and private sector. That's powered by Professional Park, proparkstarkville.com. Check it out. Grab your space. And they've got private offices or business suites available, all with private entrances. All right, y'all called for the Eddie O audio again, and we will drop that.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Whenever he's telling a story, just because, I mean, he's Eddie O, he's a character. He's been a character for some time, but he's also, you know, a ferocious people person, recruiter, energy guy, and salesman, has sold himself his whole life, made tens of millions of dollars. And, you know, has a national championship, and we'll see where it leads. Is now back with Lane Kiffin on the LSU staff. Crazy, isn't it? He's been an assistant at LSU. He's been the head coach at LSU. Well, he's been a player, and he left within like the first 3 weeks of being on campus. You know, evidently a hell of a high school football player. Could have stayed and probably would have, I think, been a good player. Ends up at one of the smaller northwestern, wherever it was, in Louisiana. But anyway, gets rocked, gets in some trouble, some really trouble, and because he was perfect for college football with his testosterone, drive, energy, and willing to do whatever it takes to get players, right? I mean, he did not care. Load the boat, get the bag. What does the player, mama, and everybody else need? I'll go. I'm a big game hunter. Been like that since the 80s. Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, then has to work his way back, gets on the Southern Cal staff. They get fired. And here, we'll play it. The Eddie O is one of those guys that his upbringing and so on, he's just never going to quit or give up. And he tells the story of how even though pretty much everybody on the staff was going to get fired or was fired, and how he had the opportunity to stay with Pete Carroll at Southern Cal.
Recruiting for USC, no coach.
No coach. And Mike Garrett had told us, listen, if you want to stay with USC, go on the road recruit. Well, obviously a lot of guys didn't. Some guys did. I was one that did, okay? So I'm going out on the road recruiting, and people are saying, what are you doing? And laughing at you. I said, hey, they fired the head coach. They didn't fire me yet. And they're going, yeah, right. So anyway, it's about 2 weeks, and this is a great story. And I'm watching Sean Cody's state championship game. He was the USA Defensive Player of the Year. I went up in the stadium to shake Big Mike's hand. The mama and the grandma was there, and the coach from UCLA was to the left. The coach from Notre Dame was to the right. I went to shake Big Mike's hand. He says, hey, Coach, I'm sorry. My son is not going to USC. You don't have a coach, and I don't even know if you have a job. And then, obviously, the guy from UCLA and the guy from Notre Dame started laughing.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at Mike, and I said, I'm going to coach at USC as long as I want. I'm going to coach your son. So I left. It was about halftime. I said, you know what? I want to go up there and give those guys a piece of my mind. I said, you know what? Not a good idea.
Yeah.
So I'm going home. If you guys are in Los Angeles, I'm going down the 714 highway. Freeway, I'm going to Aliso Viejo in my hometown. And my friend Barry Sher calls me. He says, Coach, what are you doing? You know, in California, they have several state championships. I said, I'm on my way home from a state championship. I said, hey, you ought to come to Anaheim Stadium. I looked 100 feet. There's the sign to Anaheim Stadium. I said, I'm coming. I go there. It's about 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Barry Sher, my friend, gives me a sideline pass to go on the sideline. It's 10:30. It's foggy. I'm watching, I believe it was Loyola versus Long Beach Poly. They had the 5 great juniors. I knew every one of them. Guess who walks up to me? Pete Carroll. I got my USC stuff on. He says, Coach, what are you doing? I said, I'm recruiting. He goes, for who? I said, USC. He says, you know these players out here? I said, yeah, there's Manuel Wright. There's Herschel Dennis. Talked about all the players. And I looked at him. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to be named the head coach at USC on Monday. I said, really? I said, okay, good. I said, well, Coach, I'm going to be in some schools on Monday morning. I'm going to get you on the phone with some recruits. We're going to call the recruits, and here we go. So he says, okay. He said, here's my number. Don't tell nobody I'm in town. I said, all right. And he never told me he was going to get a job or nothing. So I go to Sean Cody's school on Monday. I get Coach on the phone with him. He's going to be the first guy to talk to Sean Cody, all that stuff. And so he said, hey, Eddie, what are you doing at 2 o'clock? I got my press conference. I said, Coach, I'll be there. So I go to the press conference. He does all this stuff, and he said he meets with the staff. And I'm sitting in the corner, and he goes, you know, guys, a lot of good coaches on the staff, but I'm going to start with you. I'm not keeping anybody. And I went, are you kidding me? And I walk out, he goes, all except you, Eddie, let's get to work.
Oh, man.
Then we started recruiting together.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Cody was the USA Defensive Player of the Year. He came to USC. Me and Big Mike became best friends.
That's grit right there.
That's grit.
Yeah.
That's grit. It turned it around.
Oh, man. Perseverance, man. Never give. It's all the corny stuff your parents told you or your grandparents. It is. You know what he did? I'll go cornier. He controlled what he could control for 2 weeks. Now, he could have gone home, right? Hung out, still get paid. Could have gone home to the wife and kids, got a bunch of beer, cooked out, and just felt sorry for himself. I'm not going to get retained. It's not going to happen. Mike Garrett and Mike didn't know. He was just like, if you want to have a chance to get retained, but then you need to be recruiting, right? Because that is the lifeblood of every single one of the programs that all of y'all follow. Recruit, recruit, recruit. Same thing in business. And so Mike Garrett's the former player at Southern Cal and AD. And by the way, Carroll was what? 7th or 8th choice. Remember, they freaked out when they were livid. This goes to show you as fans what we know and we know nothing. But Pete Carroll had been fired by the New England Patriots a year or so before, and he's talked about how he did this whole looking inward and and what did I do well? What did I do wrong? He was devastated when he was fired. Kind of like John Calipari at the pro level with the New Jersey Nets, excuse me. And so back to Eddie O, he controlled what he could control. And instead of going home like some of the assistants did and said, well, I'm going to get paid for another month or so or 6 months, and I'm just not going to do it. He stayed in the car, kept making calls, kept recruiting, and he runs into Pete Carroll. And he wins. He's on a staff that got rock star status because of the way Pete ran everything. And they won 2 national championships while Eddie O was there, and he was able to parlay that into a head coaching job at Ole Miss, some other good jobs, interim at Southern Cal and head coach at LSU. Yeah.
Love how he just randomly finds Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Hey, he could have gone home and not run into Pete.
That's right. Could have changed. Literally, that decision changed.
But you know what? I'm going to make everything. One more stop, one more call, one more. Let's see what we can do. See if we can get any fire started or make any kind of magic happen. And I'm wearing USC stuff, and Pete Carroll sees me, and the rest is I got to become the recruiting coordinator, D-line coach, and was known as one of the best, if not the best, recruiter in college football when he was at Southern Cal.
Became a national champion because of that.
Yeah.
That changed the whole trajectory of his career.
And it changed Pete's.
Yes.
I mean, Ed was able to get them plugged in.
No doubt.
And he was a maniac.
Right.
Ed would recruit 22 hours a day. Now you've got coaches on staffs that have decided they don't even have to recruit because of the portal, which is not accurate.